Greetings, I am Ty Brown with Athletic Director U, and I'm joined by Kelley Hartley Hutton, she's the Director of Athletics at Fort Wayne, and Val Cleary with Portland State. Greetings, ladies, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Now, I want to talk to you about something that's usually hard for leaders to do, and that's delegation, right? And let's start with a definition of delegation. Kelley.
Ooh, my definition anyway, and it is something that I clearly need to get better at. I think we all do as leaders. But you know, it's obviously more than moving a task from my desk to your desk. Right. Done correctly, at least in our department, it's about empowering people in our department to be part of the decision-making process and to see something all the way through. Many times, what I look for in our department is, does it match their skill set and interests? Mm-hmm. So if they're good at something, they're gonna enjoy it more, and it's gonna be done better, and probably better than I would have done it anyway.
Right. How about you? Is it along the same lines?
Along the same lines, for sure. And I think even adding to what Kelley was saying is that, you know, to make sure that your staff really does feel like they're a valued part of that decision-making process. Right. And really making sure a lot of times their skill sets are so much stronger in certain areas than even what ours are. And I think that really brings a really good depth to the entire department, mm-hmm. to really have the different voices and different perspectives involved in the decision-making.
Well, a part of delegation obviously is trust. Trust someone to make that crucial decision either when you're away from the office or whatever their responsibility is. How does somebody build true trust to where you can be away from the office for 2 or 3 days?
Right.
And you allow them to make a decision.
You know, I think so much of what we do, starting in that hiring process, mm-hmm. is it really starts in that hiring process of finding people that really complement your skill set, but then also complement what your mission and goals are, not only for the department, but for the university. And I think once those things are really established and you have that coming in, mm-hmm. they automatically come in with trust. And I think as time goes on and you have people involved in those key decisions, key events, relationship building with the rest of the staff too, then that trust naturally is there. And we're going to make mistakes. Yeah, and I think a lot of times that trust is further developed as people on your team makes mistakes, including us, mm-hmm. And then you learn and grow from those together.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, a higher level maybe of delegation is what's happening now, and we're away from campuses. Mm-hmm. Your phone's not ringing off the hook, I bet. Mine isn't either, because we have great people and we've developed those relationships and trust. So, you know, I think the next level of delegation is things are just handled, and sometimes I don't even know. I have a trust that it will be handled, and it will be handled the right way.
Right.
And oftentimes I think that's the time when you know your staff is in a good spot, is when things happen and someone comes to you 2 weeks later and they're saying, okay, well, we have that handle, and you kind of look at it like, we didn't even know that was happening.
No surprise.
So that is a key component of knowing that you've established that trust and that delegation.
Like, you know, wanted on your radar, this happened, but took care of it, result.
Exactly.
Good to know.
Now, here's a situation almost in reverse. Say you have someone on staff that comes to you and asks for certain responsibilities, and they may not be ready. How do you tell them that they still have work to do before you allow them to have the responsibility?
I mean, those are always tough conversations. Right. I think too, by just whether you have it directly that you're not ready for that particular task or that issue, I think it's being able to build those baby steps. Mm-hmm. At our level, we tend to have a lot of young, new professionals on our staff. And I think if you walk into it knowing where everyone's skill set is and what they're already capable of taking on their own, right. and really stretching them a little bit, mm-hmm. Whether they ask for it or not, I think that's when you really start getting that ability to assess which level you're able to delegate at.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I absolutely. And you said you started this question with trust, yes. and of course that's not a switch that we flip, right? That's built over time, and when someone does a task really well, or their area is flourishing and they want more, you know they're ready. Right. Whether they ask or not, I think you're obligated to challenge them as a leader.
Right. And the reason you two are in the positions that you're in, leadership roles, influencer roles, is because you were good at what you do and what you've done, and somebody took a chance on you, right? Is there something that you were real good at that you have a hard time delegating because it's so close to your heart? Kelley?
Yeah, when I think about that, you know, when it comes to making a certain phone call with maybe certain people or relationships, donors, if I've worked hard to develop a relationship, you know, that's a phone call that I need to make. If there's an issue, good or bad, but when, you know, donors, alumni, I'm very protective of some of those relationships.
Right, exactly. Val?
Well, my staff would be the first to say that I have the gift of gab. I love microphones. So for me to step back and be in the background, sometimes it's hard. But I actually have realized I enjoy it more when I see our staff and even our student athletes be able to take that spotlight, and really they show that they also are just as equally as a representative of our department and university as I am, and I take pride in that. But sometimes I have to, you know, do the count to 10, let them take the spotlight first. But that's been something that I think over the years I've worked on.
So in developing trust, and when you give people responsibilities, they grow and they're a leader, you delegate more and more to them, and then they leave and become leaders of their own organization. How do you handle the transition of responsibilities amongst your staff when you lose somebody who you trusted for so long?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand that they're coming from a different place, that did things differently, and give them some time to learn the culture, because just because they were maybe the compliance role in another institution, clearly, you know, at Val's institution, maybe the expectations for that role are much different than they are at my institution, so they need time to learn that culture in the department, ask a lot of questions. And then as a leader, I think very clearly identify what the expectations are, and probably now more than ever, we can be as leaders more pointed when we do that. Sometimes when I think, you know, here's a miss, but that was on me because I didn't clearly articulate the expectations.
Right. Well, that's excellent information. Ladies, I think I'll wrap this up with this. We're talking about delegation, and of course delegation is the top layer, but when you dig down deep, it ties to trust, as we said many times in this interview here. Can you give us, Val, a quick definition of trust, and then Kelley will finish it up with yours.
I would say, at least from the professional point in our arena of what we do, with trust, I always like to look at it as the leader, you have the confidence and the belief that the person that you're working with is capable of that task. I think then trust is also proven. That person that you're delegating to, through their work ethic, through their dedication to how they represent not only themselves but the department, they're able to show that they are a trustworthy individual in regards to the operation.
Exactly. Kelley?
Yeah, I think, you know, trust is something that is earned over time, right? And so people in our department demonstrate. I'm really grateful. I work with a really hardworking staff that they don't move the problem, and that's something that, you know, I talk about delegation. Well, if it comes back to my desk and it's not done, or it's not done well, then that's not helpful. I can't focus then as a leader on what other priorities maybe exist in our department. So trust for me is when something is done all the way through, and oftentimes better than I'd have done it because of that person's unique skill set.
Right, exactly. Well, this has been great. I really appreciate you joining us here at Athletic Director U.
Great, thank you.
Ty.